And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
You think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
Wow, that's about the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's talk about basketball. Yeah. Come on now.
What do you think of just how you all were able to pull in the second half, Caitlin, in particular?
We're going to the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's go!
Pretty exciting. Y'all want to talk about that? Let's talk about that.
What do you think, again?
Caitlin Clark, the league's brightest rising star, is reportedly nearing her breaking point, and growing speculation suggests she could walk away altogether. What began as typical rookie treatment has now escalated into a troubling pattern. Hard fouls that go unchecked, a lack of protection from referees, and whispers of resentment from within the league itself. Instead of celebrating Clark's impact, some insiders suggest she's being punished for it. Now, a new rumor is gaining momentum, that Clark may be plotting a bold move to distance herself from the league she helped bring into the spotlight. If true, it could shake the very foundation of the WNBA and highlight issues it has long avoided. This isn't just about one player. It's about whether the league is ready to support the very talent that's drawing millions of new fans. Without Clark, the WNBA could find itself struggling to hold on to the momentum she helped ignite.
WNBA record. This is her second season. And you put the numbers together, that's like 10 seasons. That girl did it in 10 seasons. That means she had one a season. Caitlin Clark is, when Caitlin Clark gets to 10 seasons, she's going to have 100 of these. And y'all can't get a girl her roses. Now, I don't like the fact that she be getting woke because she don't want all these lesbians to be mad at it. At the end of the day, is the woman putting in the work, she's putting in the work.
To understand why Caitlin Clark might be considering a dramatic exit, you have to first recognize the size of the ripple she's made, or rather, the tidal wave. Her influence didn't just move the needle, it redefined the game. Before Clark stepped onto the scene, the WNBA was still searching for consistent visibility. After her arrival, the league transformed into must-watch television. She didn't just boost attendance, she sparked a movement. Empty arenas turned into packed houses, and not just in Indiana. Every city on the schedule saw a surge in demand. Some opposing teams even relocated games to larger NBA arenas just to keep up with the wave of fans eager to witness her in action. In short, Caitlin Clark has become more than a rookie. She's a walking economic boom, and her presence has rewritten what's possible for women's basketball.
This is all going according to plan. This is ideal. Caitlin Clark is holding up her end by being awesome and by being a trash-talking jerk on the court. Love it. Her teammates are holding up their end by having her back. The other players in the league are holding up their end by not liking her. Perfect. Couldn't have written a better script. Caitlin is talking trash to this girl. This girl's hard fouling her. Her teammate Sophie Cunningham, who got a black belt in Taekwondo at the age of 6, she's like, I will F you guys up. All of it's great, and Caitlin's a killer. 10 out of...
When Caitlin Clark's jersey hit the shelves, it didn't just sell, it shattered records, becoming the top-selling jersey of any athlete across all sports upon release. Her impact was just as explosive on screen. WNBA broadcasts on major networks saw viewership surge by triple-digit percentages. But perhaps the clearest proof of her power came during a brief injury timeout. When Clark sat out, the league's television ratings plunged by an astonishing 55%. Let that sink in. One player misses a game, and more than half the league's entire audience disappears. That's not just star power, that's market domination. Clark wasn't just playing in the league, she was carrying it. Her presence alone was generating revenue, driving ratings, and filling arenas, even as some fellow players appeared to bristle at the spotlight she brought.
Caitlin Clark is driving the WNBA insane. It's to the point that she may need to step away from the WNBA, have a billionaire come in that has the money to prove a point, and say, Caitlin, I'll pay you $50 million just to see if the WNBA can make it without you. Let's go create a complete different league and expose the hell out of the WNBA just to embarrass this Angel Reese girl that Jameel Hill just said she could go down as a Michael Jordan of the...
Despite the spotlight and soaring revenue she brought to the league, Caitlin Clark's arrival wasn't met with celebration. It felt more like an ambush than a warm welcome. From the opening tip of her rookie season, one defensive strategy stood out: test her limits with as much physicality as possible. This went far beyond standard tough play. Game after game, Clark faced a barrage of elbows, off-ball contact, and forceful closeouts that often danced right on the edge of legality. The intensity peaked during a widely circulated moment involving Marina Mabrey, a full-body check that had no connection to the ball and sent Clark crashing to the floor. For many watching, it was a line crossed, not just a hard foul. It wasn't just about stopping her game. To some, it felt like a coordinated effort to rattle, intimidate, or even run her out of the spotlight she brought with her.
I will say this, when Caitlin Clark was out, they lost 55% of their viewership. So basically, Caitlin Clark is paying all their salaries.
Pretty much.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can hate her as much as you want, but she's brought in millions of fucking dollars. So you should be kissing her ass.
And that kind of defeated the purpose of Angel Reese's argument of she's like, hey, it's not just Caitlin Clark that is bringing all the viewership to the WNBA. It's like, well, it definitely is. It's like, it kind of proved that with the viewership rating being down that she significantly increases viewership with.
They try so hard to compare her to Caitlin Clark. They try.
It was the kind of collision you'd expect in a hockey rink, not on a basketball court. And yet, despite the intensity of the contact, Caitlin Clark's response may have been what irritated critics the most. She didn't lash out. She didn't plead with officials. She simply got back up, brushed herself off, and continued playing. Her calm under pressure, what many would call professionalism, was instead interpreted by some as arrogance. That quiet resilience only seemed to escalate the physicality, as if every show of restraint fueled more aggression. The message became unmistakable: if you shine too brightly, you'll be targeted. And if your talent can't be contained, then intimidation might be the next best option.
The fever and sun hold a brawl and a basketball game breaks out. This was something. Caitlin Clark, without question, gets raked across the face. I think she gets poked in the eye, but it's difficult to tell.
If you're the Indiana Fever, you cannot stand by and let that happen. They need to make it clear to the officials. If you're going to let this happen, then we're going to stand up for our player and make a mess of the game, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands. So you need to stand up for this. You need to do something about this.
You've just learned with definitive data and beyond question that Caitlin Clark controls more than half the audience for the entire WNBA.
But the physical play on the court was only half the story. What made it worse was the silence from those tasked with keeping the game fair. As Caitlin Clark endured hit after hit, referees often appeared indifferent. Obvious fouls were brushed off or downgraded to routine contact, creating an unmistakable message. Enforcement of the rules was inconsistent at best. It began to feel like Clark was playing under a different set of standards, one that left her exposed. Even more troubling was the lack of response from the WNBA's front office. The league's leadership, responsible for protecting the integrity of the game and its players, offered little more than silence. Statements came swiftly for minor issues like dress code violations, yet when it came to the clear, repeated targeting of their biggest draw, there was no urgency, no accountability. To many, it felt like the league was willing to risk the well-being of its star attraction to avoid ruffling feathers, even if it meant sending the wrong message to players and fans alike.
A lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but not like this. This news is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA.
League's puzzling lack of action sparked something bigger, a digital movement led by fans determined to do what officials wouldn't. Online, the #ProtectCaitlinClark campaign gained momentum. Supporters turned into grassroots analysts, breaking down footage frame by frame, highlighting illegal screens, and pointing out dangerous plays that never drew a whistle. Social media became a courtroom, with fans pleading for accountability that never arrived. What this revealed was a troubling contradiction at the heart of the WNBA. The league embraced Clark's star power, the ticket sales, the sold-out arenas, the rating surge, but seemed unwilling to grant her the same on-court protection every player should receive. To many, this wasn't just a lapse in oversight. It felt deliberate, a quiet acceptance of the physical targeting, as if hazing the league's biggest star was part of some unspoken initiation.
I am sick and tired of the way they are treating my girl, Caitlin Clark. I am here to propose a solution. I think they need an enforcer. You know, someone who comes off the bench to kind of lay the smackdown on an opposing team member. I want to get the word out to the Indiana Fever that I am available. I'm ready to identify as whatever I need to in order to get the job. They need someone like me. Why? Because I'm not afraid of any 6 foot tall lesbian. I work out. Now, I have a couple of real good go-to moves in my bag of tricks.
Just when it seemed the situation couldn't get more surreal, the narrative took an even stranger turn, with parts of the media pointing fingers not at the aggressors, but at Caitlin Clark herself. Instead of condemning the excessive contact or demanding better protection, some analysts claimed Clark was to blame. She was too confident, they said. She talked too much on the court. According to this take, she had somehow invited the hits. It was a baffling argument, especially in the world of professional sports, a space built on intensity, mental toughness, and yes, even trash talk. Legends like Michael Jordan were famous for using words as weapons. Larry Bird? He had a reputation for breaking down opponents mentally before the opening whistle. Yet in Clark's case, that same competitive fire was painted as provocation. The double standard was impossible to ignore, and for many, it only deepened the sense that something was seriously off in how her treatment was being justified.
Oh, it's this shit I don't like that. A snitch, nigga, it's this shit I don't like.
You know, they get into it a bit here. Lexi Holdown gets it.
Oh, bitch, nigga.
Holding space, Caitlin Clark hits the deck.
Sneak besides that shit I don't like.
Sheldon and Cunningham are getting into
it. A snitch, nigga, that's that shit I don't like.
Caitlin Clark with a few words with JC shot.
When legends of the game used bravado to gain an edge, it was celebrated, even mythologized, as part of their competitive spirit. But when Caitlin Clark shows that same fire, the response is far different. Suddenly, her confidence is seen as a violation of some unspoken rule. The physical retaliation? Framed as justified. Commentators twisted themselves into not analyzing her body language or tone, as if her mere presence invited the aggression. For fans, it was frustrating to watch. Instead of addressing the contact, the conversation shifted to Clark's demeanor, as though she had brought the hits upon herself. It was like blaming a mailbox for getting hit by a reckless driver. The message couldn't have been more backwards. In this version of the WNBA, if you're a confident woman who performs at the highest level, you're not protected, you're punished.
Caitlin Clark has decided to quit the WNBA and move on and go play over in Europe. I do not blame her. I applaud it. I say do it. Get as far away from the WNBA as you can. Let that league sink. Okay? Do not help them, Caitlin. Get away. I believe you could create your own league, okay? You could be the fucking player that creates whatever, the next professional women's basketball league. Let this one just go and let Caitlin try to build the next WN.
But the tension surrounding Caitlin Clark wasn't just coming from opponents, it seemed embedded within parts of the league's veteran culture itself. The word gatekeeping quickly became a common theme. Some longtime players appeared more concerned with whether Clark had earned her stripes than with the incredible spotlight she was shining on the game. But what, exactly, was left to earn? Clark had already become the most recognizable figure in the WNBA, generating more visibility and revenue in a matter of months than many teams had seen in years. Still, the resentment was hard to ignore. Veterans who had spent their careers fighting for recognition suddenly found themselves sharing the stage or, in some cases, playing supporting roles in the rapidly growing Caitlin Clark era. And not everyone was thrilled about it. Much was made of her rivalry with Angel Reese and others, but that headline-grabbing clash was only a symptom of a deeper issue, an identity crisis within the league. Rather than uniting behind a once-in-a-generation talent, some players seemed more interested in challenging her place, even if it meant missing the bigger picture. In focusing on who should rule the court, they risked losing sight of a critical truth. Without Clark, the spotlight might not shine nearly as brightly, and the entire league could feel the impact.
I want to get your opinion because it's been a minute on this Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark stuff that's been going on. Brittany Griner a couple of weeks ago in a video says trash effing white girl when she was playing Caitlin Clark. What's your just kind of 30,000 foot view of this?
There is not an organization more dedicated and committed to self-imploding than the WNBA.
God, that's
the WNBA was like handed the golden egg that is Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And they have done everything to just self-destruct.
Yeah.
Whether it's these totally crazy, like, racial investigations that have been proven.
Which brings us back to the once unthinkable rumor, the idea that Caitlin Clark could actually walk away. And this is where the story shifts from frustration to something much more compelling, the possibility of a power move that rewrites the future of women's basketball. Two bold scenarios have emerged in the world of speculation, both carrying serious implications. The first? A European exit. Overseas, elite women's basketball players are often paid more and treated with a higher level of respect. If Clark were to sign a multi-million-dollar contract abroad, she could enjoy strong league support, protection on the court, and the freedom to simply focus on the game, far from the distractions and politics that have clouded her WNBA experience. The second theory is even more dramatic, a move insiders have dubbed the billionaire's gambit. Imagine a deep-pocketed investor stepping in with an audacious offer, a $50 million payout for Clark to sit out, proving just how vital she is to the WNBA's current success. Or, more radically, they could bankroll a brand new rival league with Clark as the centerpiece, a modern sports revolution that could expose the WNBA's vulnerabilities and build a powerful new platform from scratch. Either path would be a seismic shift. And while nothing is confirmed, even the fact that such ideas are being seriously considered speaks volumes about both Clark's influence and the league's current state of crisis.
Clark did her thing. Coming off of the injury, she returned for the Fever, and I swear I am not being hyperbolic. We were immediately gifted one of the greatest halves we have ever seen in the WNBA. And I say that with all context involved. This series from Caitlin Clark, the pull-up three here, and you are about to see back-to-back-to-back triples for Caitlin Clark in this game. I am not trying to erase the things we have seen from Maya Moore, from Diana Taurasi, Asia Wilson's 53-point game, Stewie, Cynthia Cooper. Like, we have seen incredible halves of basketball, but you see Caitlin Clark coming off of that made three from the Liberty. Pull-up, of course. She's making it in that.
Let's talk about the so-called rivalry the media and a handful of players seem determined to push. In every great sport, rivalries are built on respect as much as competition. Magic and Bird, Federer and Nadal. They were fierce competitors, but also professional peers who recognized each other's greatness. What's happening with Caitlin Clark? It doesn't resemble that legacy. This isn't a true rivalry, it's starting to look more like a one-sided fixation. When Angel Reese delivered a flagrant shot to Clark's head and was later cheered by teammates from the bench, the mask came off. This wasn't about rising to meet a worthy opponent. It was personal, and it was ugly. A real rivalry elevates both players. It's rooted in excellence and mutual growth. But here, Clark appears focused on basketball and winning, while some others seem focused on her, for all the wrong reasons. What could have been a compelling competitive storyline has instead devolved into something toxic. Even more troubling is the impossible standard Caitlin Clark is held to. If she reacts to a dangerous play, she's labeled emotional or entitled. If she keeps her cool, she's dismissed as arrogant or cold. There is no winning, only judgment. She's expected to absorb hits, silence, and hostility with perfect composure, while those delivering the contact face little scrutiny. She is, in every sense, playing a game no one can truly win, not on the court, but in the court of public perception. And this isn't just about one athlete anymore. The WNBA is playing a dangerous long game, one that risks far more than short-term controversy. Because watching all of this unfold are the next wave of stars, the young college standouts, the high school phenoms. What do they see? They see the league's biggest name treated more like a threat than an asset. They see success punished, not protected. And they're left to wonder, is this a league worth joining? Corporate sponsors are watching too. Brands aren't drawn to chaos or infighting. They invest in momentum, unity, and stories of triumph. A fractured image damages more than morale, it damages the bottom line. If the WNBA can't show it can support its brightest stars, it risks losing not just Caitlin Clark, but the future of talent, of investment, and of cultural relevance. So, what happens if she walks? It won't be a surrender. It would be a statement that greatness shouldn't come at the cost of personal well-being. That her worth extends beyond a league unwilling to evolve. And if that day comes, the aftermath will be deafening. Empty seats. Dwindling viewership. Media coverage fading fast. A silence that speaks volumes. It will be the sound of a league forced to reckon with the reality that it let its golden opportunity slip away, not by accident, but by choice. And the rest of the world will move on, leaving behind not a headline, but a cautionary tale.